Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Addis Dialogue with the program. I'm Shifarullah, and my guest today is Mesfin Tegenu. He is the chair of American-Ethiopian Public Affairs Committee. We're going to talk about current issues unfolding in Ethiopia, foreign intervention in the sovereign affairs of Ethiopia, and things like that. So just tell us, Mesfin, thank you so much for making the time to talk to me.
It's a pleasure. My pleasure, Shifarullah.
Thank you. As you know, it's been a while since the TPLF has waged its pre-mediated war against Ethiopia, and in the aftermath of this, we're seeing this lack of balance and fairness on the part of the international community. We're also witnessing undue pressures from different entities and countries. So it's like a vortex of pressures and erroneous narratives, misinformation, disinformation that Ethiopia has once again has found itself in. So what are some of the way out of these interrelated issues that you see, Mesfin?
Well, thank you, Shif. I mean, as your audience may clearly remember, before the war restarted, the Ethiopian government and the Ethiopian people took significant steps towards peace, including halting armed operations at the border of Tigray, offering amnesty, releasing prisoners from TPLF leaders from jail, creating a national dialogue to help secure lasting peace for the country. So the government also has engaged in a full AU peace process. Now, ultimately, a peace process is only the solution. Everyone agrees on that. But that only comes if the other party is willing to also have peace. In this case, the TPLF is not a willing player. And so, for your questions, where we are going from here is, we believe that TPLF needs to lay down their arms and come to the peace talks. And that moving forward, it's very clear that there is no future in Ethiopia for the TPLF as it exists today. Ethiopia cannot entertain a group that fundamentally opposes the idea of a unified Ethiopia, and they can play really no role in the ongoing national dialogue process either. So, what we believe is our brothers and sisters in Tigray deserve better than this, deserve a better new leaders, and who would easily emerge once the dust clears. And then this will be a leader that unites in the country, that puts together the country, that works together across with all kinds of parties in different parts of the country. Just to remind everybody, I know this is a common knowledge, but the TPLF never represented the best interest of Tigray nor Ethiopia. Only their own selfish objectives of power and wealth. So we see no future, in my opinion. There is no future for TPLF in Ethiopia. There has to be a peace talk. We agree. There has to be some sort of discussion to bring back peace to that region, but TPLF is not part of that equation at the end. It must dissolve. They should lay down their arms, join the civilized world, and then build the nation that the people of Tigray can build a nation, and the criminal TPLF should be at a position where the appropriate actions taken place by the ruling parties.
In addition to the issue that we've just talked about, we are also faced with this issue of trying to taint the image of Ethiopia using, this politically motivated statements coming from overseas. or other pretexts such as human rights violations and democratic issues, things like that. So how should the international community revise its stance on Ethiopia?
You know, the TPLF triggered the conflict in November of 2020. And since then, the Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, and the United Nations have all highlighted their atrocities, including killings, rapes, and lootings. So in particular, the scale of destruction in the Amhara and Afar region has been shocking. So the TPLF destroyed schools, hospitals, farms, etc., etc. And this is a known established fact. The Western world knows this, and we continue to remind them that it is the TPLF who did all this stuff. So I think for as the war rages again on the northern part of Ethiopia, again third time, you know, started by the TPLF. Let's just be very clear. There should not be any confusion. I think we believe it's time for the US and its Western allies to come back, join the Ethiopian people, and do the right thing. One will be to stop, to join the peace, to help the peace process, stop, cancel the sanction bills, extensions that are being, you know, that is imposed on Ethiopia currently. Reinstate put AGOA back, and then work constructively for stability and reconstruction of the nation. I mean, we understand, you know, the Western world, including United States, have a geopolitical interest on the Horn of Africa. We understand there is a strategy that was in place to meet the geopolitical interest, but we also understand strategies change based on objective realities. Therefore, we strongly believe that the US and its allies now should act to bring peace, to help Ethiopia resolve this situation, reconstruct the nation, and require TPLF to lay down its arms and come to the peace talks. And then they also should support the Ethiopian people and its elected government to bring back peace, to help reconstruct the destroyed and facilities, infrastructures, and then bring back, you know, eliminate poverty, help the programs that are being kicked off by the Ethiopian people to eliminate poverty in a constructive way. We don't believe the Ethiopian people need aid. We don't believe that's what they need. What the Ethiopian people want from any partner is a business partnership, a constructive business partnership where there will be give and take. And we invite American companies to come to invest in Ethiopia, compete in Ethiopia, get involved in mega projects in Ethiopia, and part of the renaissance of the Ethiopian, building Ethiopia, instead of now at this point inflaming or causing or supporting directly or indirectly a terrorist organization that has been recognized by not only by the Ethiopian parliament, by even some of the international organizations.
That's a good point, Mesfin, that you just raised. In this connection, I think the diaspora community has also been actively engaged against the unprecedented pressures and coordinated biased media campaigns against Ethiopia. And you're also part of this great struggle, I know that. So how are you going to continue, standing by Ethiopia, supporting Ethiopia, which finds itself in the midst of such pressures?
the American Ethiopians Public Affairs Committee, AEPAC, its mission is to advocate for pro-Ethiopia agenda in the United States government. So in that process, we believe the active participation of the diaspora in the American political discourse will improve or strengthen the relationship between the United States and Ethiopia. Now, in that effort, we are obviously increasingly disappointed by the Biden's administration actions throughout this conflict. In particular, the bills that are being floated, the extension of sanctions, and the attitude of administration towards the Ethiopian people has been a disappointment to us. So we will continue to engage with the U.S. Department. Most recently, we had over 2 hours conversation with the new envoy to the Horn of Africa, Ambassador Hammer. We have interacted with several legislators, over 120 of them, both in the House and Senate. So our role here will be to make sure that the legislators understand what the objective reality on the ground is, what the Ethiopian people are like, and how a partnership, a better partnership on a mutually beneficial manner works in Ethiopia than one of those approaches where we see today, my way or no way is not something that generally works with the Ethiopian people, and so we are working on that angle. So the advocacy work, the work that the Ethiopian Americans as a bridge between the United States and Ethiopia role, the role that they play as a bridge is something that is being discussed in detail with this both the legislators and the administration officials, and that being as that's in addition to that, I mean, we also have are very actively engaged at this point in the midterm elections. Here in the United States, we have an election coming in November. It's a midterm election that usually change the mix of the composition of the United States Congress. So the American Ethiopians Public Affairs Committee, AEPAC, has about 22, is operating in 22 stations that matter in this election. And we have endorsed about 12 candidates. And the goal is to really have a strong Ethiopia caucus in the United States Senate, Congress. That way, there will be an informed decision. At this point, what we see is legislations are coming out ill-informed, not factually not on factually based, intellectually honest documents. So we are going to take it upon ourselves to make sure there is a caucus that understands well, that will be consulted when it comes to the issue of Ethiopia, that would get proper information from the Ethiopian Americans across the United States. And so the effort will be in all angles. So that will be the legislative angle. There will be the discussions, the administration, and hoping to help reshape policy. And then there is also a significant effort to counterbalance or fight back the disinformation campaign.
Mm-hmm.
The Western media, as we learned in the last 18 months since this conflict started, we found that the Western media is not really a free press. To most of us who believed in free markets, who believed in free press, who believed in capitalism, this was a major disappointment. So we are also have a work stream that's going against the misinformation campaign, in spite of the fact that they may take or they may not take our op-eds. We are sending op-eds regularly to publications that print misinformation on the conflict and on Ethiopia in general. And so in all of these areas, the work continues and the fight continues.
In this connection, I've also learned that American Ethiopian Public Affairs Committee has recently conducted a survey on the impacts of the conflict in the northern part of Ethiopia. So now tell me, what were the results that you found out, and how extensive was the impact on the diaspora community that you found out?
So the survey was conducted to measure the sentiment of the Ethiopian Americans, especially at this time, at this election time. It's very important to understand the sentiment, and we wanted to measure where the voters are leaning, which direction they are planning to go. In terms of the questions that we wanted to understand, mainly. By the way, once the responses were tallied and the survey was completed, the outcome and the result was communicated to the different departments or different areas in the United States government, because we want them to understand the feeling that the Ethiopian Americans have towards the situation in northern part of the country. So with that context, so we have found, number one, over 2/3 of Ethiopian Americans have been personally impacted one way or another by the conflict in the northern part of the country. We also have found that the war, the TPLF terrorist war against the Ethiopian people, has created a deep sense of disappointment on the action of the United States government, and there is significant disappointment that the survey respondents mentioned that the US has failed to condemn the TPLF's violence and crimes. And actually, there is a feeling that they have helped the insurgency, and then so the fact that the US should ask or demand TPLF to lay down its arms was a common trend in the survey.
So obviously the impact is huge. The impact of this conflict, which is instigated by the TPLF, is huge, reaching out to millions of people, not only here, but abroad, in the United States of America, and of course, other parts of the globe, for that matter. So has the survey also included the latest TPLF-induced war? So, and if so, what were the results? And did you come up with some kind of recommendations as part of the research or survey?
Yeah, so one is, it's clear from the survey that the vast amount of the Ethiopian Americans in the US blame the conflict solely on TPLF. The over 97%, I think, said this is TPLF that caused it, and the totally blame on TPLF. And then also there is significant support for a peace process that is currently in place. There is a unanimous opposition to any kind of peace process led by the US or EU. That was objected by 98% of the respondents. There was absolutely no consideration or no support whatsoever for the US or EU to be mediators of this conflict. The other significant survey result that we observed was there is a significant belief that it's time for a large-scale mobilization in national unity, effort by the government to defend the country against the TPLF. Actually, for that matter, the TPLF and OLF Shani attacks. So there was a significant support for that idea. The fact that a national government, so pretty much what the survey said was the conflict in northern part of Ethiopia is a conflict against is an insurrection on the Ethiopian people. It's not Afar, it's not an Amhara region. It's being portrayed like that for the purpose of the this tribalist and ethnocentric ideology promoters, including some of their supporters. But that's not the case. What the survey found is this is a war on Ethiopian people, and the Ethiopian people from coast to coast, from south to north, from east to west, should come together. So one of the significant findings of the survey was a significant number of the Ethiopian Americans surveyed believe that it's time for a large-scale mobilization and national unity efforts by the government to defend the country against the threats, actually for that matter, both TPLF and the OLF Shani. The survey respondents with a high margin said that it is time for the Ethiopian people to come together from south to north, from west to east, to defend the nation once and for all, and then to get back to the reconstruction and building up process. So that was one of the significant survey results we noticed in the survey questions.
Mesfin, thank you so much for your wonderful ideas. I know you are doing a great job, so keep it up.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Chef. Good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, brother. Well, the viewers, with that, we come to the end of today's program. Thank you as well for having been with us. Until I see you next time with another program, it's goodbye from me, Chef.